Before you decide to crucify me for the title, I just want to say that this is reacting to an article from a few years ago on NBC News, which might be one of the most brain-dead articles I have ever read. I am shocked that this was created by a human being and not some kind of like prototype version of ChatGPT that was cooked up by a caveman who had never seen society. This is terrible. And this article is essentially comparing Donald Trump to Batman, with the title being, "What do Trump and Batman have in common?" Like many ultra-rich people, they feel entitled to power. And I've got my friend Nate here with me, who is an actual historian who did have to like study politics, history, and stuff like that in order to get his degree. Not to say that makes us like smarter than anyone else, but like when a lot of times the question is like, what qualifies you to talk about this? It's like, well, I don't know, probably the same amount that qualifies this failing journalist to talk about it.
Right.
You know, like, so there you go.
Yeah.
But in general, this is such a weird take, and it circles back around and walks hand in hand with the argument that Batman is a fascist. So that's something we will look at a little bit today. There are some politics that play into this, but I also think that there's a very apolitical reason that this was actually made, which we're going to cover today. So I do want to know your thoughts in the comments down below on the whole thing. I do have a question of the day for you, which is, what is your opinion on the idea that Batman is a fascist, or that he is someone seeking political power, and that he is somehow like Donald Trump, whether you like or don't like Trump?
A second question, too, is how is Donald Trump like Michael Jordan?
Oh!
We're comparing people here, so, you know.
They're both black?
True?
Was that what you're going for?
No.
Oh, I don't see color.
Well, yeah,
so
right.
I couldn't tell which is
right, exactly,
which, you know.
yeah.
I mean, I do like your question, though, because, really, I think we should just start comparing Trump to anything.
Yeah, I mean, if we are comparing him to Bruce Wayne, let's compare him to other people.
How is Donald Trump like the failure of Bionicle? I'm just reaching for the most niche thing I can think of in my head as an old Lego Bionicle fan. No, Here's the thing. This article, we're going to read some small excerpts of it while we show gameplay, different stuff like that. And I am going to show you some examples of how Batman is not a fascist and not just someone who is seeking political power. But most of this article, I would say 2/3 of it, barely mentions Batman. Batman is mentioned as a focus in the first 2-ish paragraphs, where they essentially talked about back when this was made, this article in 2019, that Batman was having his 80th anniversary in May for the creation, with Detective Comics 1000 coming out, 30th anniversary of the Tim Burton film, and they were also talking about essentially how Batman did not deserve to be celebrated because he was an octogenarian billionaire, just like Donald Trump. And to kind of give you some context on the article before we talk a little bit more about it, they essentially say his efforts to give back to his community essentially seem to result in far more tragedy than triumph. And essentially that it's so silly to me because they compare him so much to Trump that like you can't tell if the article author in some points is trying to talk about Trump or Batman. But in general, like, Batman has so little in common with Trump other than they're both white and have money, that this argument falls flat very quickly. Like, even going into the history, trying to very clearly take up a bunch of room in the article so that more ads can be displayed between the things that they're saying. Like, this is a very clearly dragged out article to add ads into the middle of it.
Right.
And so I do think that, like, we have to actually look at a little bit of what they're saying, though, too, saying, morally speaking, in terms of the crusaders and vigilantes who have money, they all have their problems, but to their eternal credit, at least they didn't try to run for president, pointing out that Batman was a senator once for a couple of days, and then going on into a rant for, I would say, at least 4 paragraphs about how bad billionaires are, and that really being the core part of their argument.
Yeah, I mean, that to me is where the point of this article really comes to life.
Mm-hmm. You start to see what they care about.
It's just, yeah, it's literally just this person, whoever this author is, using Trump and using Batman as a way to really complain about billionaires.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could tell that in reality, this person wishes he was a billionaire and is just upset that these other people have money. Because they do list other political figures, too. Like, Nelson Rockefeller is listed in here, who was the vice president to Gerald Ford, a Republican. Ross Perot is listed in here, who was the infamous, 90s Republican candidate that split the vote with George H.W. Bush, causing him to lose to Clinton. So he is listing like other figures in here as well that are billionaires who have run for office in the past. And it's really just in reality a way for this guy just to complain about billionaires. And the point that I don't really understand is like, why, if someone has a bunch of money, what makes them unqualified to run for political office? As opposed to, let's say you have the poorest person in the world running for office. What makes them necessarily qualified or unqualified?
What's so weird is that they could have made a very good point here. They could have made a very good point to say, if Bruce Wayne wanted to run for office, the fact that he has more money inherently gives him more ability to win because he doesn't need sponsors.
Right.
Like, they could do, like, that would be a point you could make about our political system.
Sure.
And you could say, oh, okay, well, I still don't know why you're dragging Bruce Wayne into this.
Right.
But, like, okay, well, sure. Like, we could talk about that. We could talk about, is it fair that someone like Trump doesn't need as many sponsorships from companies as I would?
Right.
Like, I would need to be in the pocket of, like, 50 conglomerates because I would need their money to promote my campaign.
Right.
Like, we could get into that, like the promotion of campaign and how money is used. The problem is, it really falls apart when you find out that Batman has almost never dipped his toes into actual politics. I mean, he goes to parties, he pretends to be a playboy. There's some women, I mean, like, depending on the continuity, there's some women he sleeps with to keep up that ruse. Sometimes he doesn't even do that, he just ditches his dates.
And a lot of times he's friends with politicians.
Yeah, sure,
So
like Harvey Dent, like he rallies behind Harvey Dent.
Like he's in those circles.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
But he himself, like, if he really sought this power, if we concede the argument that Trump ran for office just because he wanted power, like, let's just hypothetically say that. You could be the biggest Trump lover or hater ever, but, like, let's just hypothetically say that. Well, then, if you want to compare Bruce to this, isn't the fact that he doesn't ever seek out that power for himself just showing that he's not seeking power? Like, just right there. I think so. Your argument is out the window.
And they use, like, some random niche example of him running for senator once.
Yeah, once in 80 years.
Yeah, which is, like, that's not every story of Batman.
So
it's like, well, look at this one time that he did it. It's like, okay, like how many?
You're right.
How many reiterations of Batman has DC done?
1 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're pointing out like the 1 or 2 times where he did as like the example of like, this is Trump.
Right. Yeah, it's very clearly falling flat on its face. And you pointed this out too, like they're mentioning all of these political people, and what do almost all of the political people they have in common? Because they say like, oh, it's the super rich keep trying, as though each of them is convinced that he or she is secretly the one and only Batman, smarter than all the others and secretly perfectly suited to unlimited power. Something Batman doesn't seek, by the way, that they don't mention. Of course, there's no way anybody with $1 billion has anything like the skill set necessary to run an enormous bureaucracy with dozens of vital appointments on which the very lives of millions of men and women depend. Billionaires spend their time making money by exploiting the labor of thousands they'll never see, not managing HR to better the lives of 300 million, blah, blah, blah. Here's the problem with this, by the way, too. I want to point out, Batman is constantly giving employment to the people who deserve employment the least in his universe. And what I mean by that is not the poor. Like, so if you say, you can't take that out of context and say, oh, Jay's saying poor people deserve employment the least. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about people who were marked as criminally insane.
Yeah.
He will give them opportunities, like people who have committed crimes, violent crimes. So, for example, I've recently been rewatching the DCAU, the ventriloquist, Arnold Wesker. He was given employment at Wayne Enterprises by Bruce Wayne, who personally went and met with him and talked to him multiple times to try to keep him on track mentally. And even Batman intervened. Bruce Wayne is obviously Batman as well. Like, to try to talk him down when he starts to relapse.
Right.
If he sought unlimited power and to just be a fascist and break this guy's nose and jaw and leave him in traction, why would he offer him glimpses of hope? Why would he give him a job? Why would he try to talk him down as Batman in costume instead of just beating him up and breaking his skull? Like, why would he do that?
It's to stroke his own ego.
Right, that's probably what this idiot would say. Another example, too, is, like, the orphanage in The Dark Knight Rises. Why would he support this orphanage, that Robin Blake is from, and in the end, essentially keep it open, even after he's leaving Gotham City, probably forever, or at least for now? Why would he go out of his way to keep this open? I mean, he doesn't get anything out of this. He's not sticking around Gotham in The Dark Knight Rises to get power. In fact, he relinquishes any power he had. He relinquishes the cowl. He relinquishes his time as Batman. He relinquishes his identity as Bruce Wayne. And he even relinquishes his entire reputation as Batman in The Dark Knight to take the fall for what Harvey Dent did. Why would he do these things in that iteration of Batman if he was some political fascist seeking unlimited power?
Right. He probably wouldn't.
Right, exactly.
He would stick around to try to get all the glory and all this stuff.
Right, yeah, and build his ego.
Yeah.
Well, and you mentioned, too, like, not to drag the conversation away from it, I want to incorporate Batman in with it better than they did.
Right.
Because if we go on a 20-minute tangent about just Donald Trump, everybody will leave.
Yeah.
But you pointed out something about all of these, the rich people that they do mention and the ones that they don't.
Well, the funny thing to me is, like, anytime I hear this argument from people, which is, I will say, usually people from on the left, right? I usually hear this argument of, like, rich people bad, why are all Republicans rich? Trump only cares about billionaires, the Republican Party only cares about the rich people, all this stuff. What it usually comes down to is they will use the idea of rich people as a way to stroke their own hatred of Republicans. But in reality, and they always want to, like, grandstand themselves, too, of, like, oh, well, I'm, like, really poor, and, like, if I were really rich, I would donate all my money to this charity, and I would, like, end homelessness, and I would do this, and I would do that. And I'm always like, no, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be honest with you, there's probably, like, less than 2% of the world's population that is selfless enough that they would actually donate 75% of their billions of dollars to help out other people.
Yeah.
Like, most of the world, it's human nature.
Well, yeah.
Most of the world gets, like, an insane amount of money, and do you know what they think? Oh, money. Oh, cool, I can buy this car. Oh, I can buy this house. Like, that's all they think about.
I have financial security. My kids don't have to worry anymore.
Exactly.
Well,
they're not thinking, like, oh, well, let's say I have $1 billion. Let's donate, like, 900,000 of that to, like, build a bunch of houses. Like, no one's thinking about that.
Well, and the smartest thing to do is invest most of your money into things where it grows and then live off the dividends and keep enough to also give away to causes you like. But I think a lot of people, they don't even have that self-control.
Yeah.
Like, they'll keep that number in the bank because it's safe there and they know, I'm protected.
Right.
Well, and, I don't think there's anything wrong for judging within reason how people use their money. I mean, it's pocket watching, essentially. But, like, if I will say I respect more if I see a billionaire give away.
Well, sure, yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
And I think that there should probably be better taxes and less tax loopholes.
Sure.
Because, like, I see how my family gets bent over by taxes.
Right.
Like, they get taken back outside by the IRS and left next to a dumpster by the IRS when it comes to taxes.
Yeah.
But then I see people who make 20 times as much as us, and they find ways to, like, hide their money. Like, oh, I'm going to invest in this random thing, or, like, oh, I'm going to put this money here. And you always see this thing about, like, this millionaire or billionaire got caught with, like, offshore funds or whatever. Or finding ways to get out of taxes. I mean, even Trump mentioned that when they were like, oh, during the Hillary Clinton campaign, they're like, is it true that you use these loopholes to, get out of taxes? And he's like, yeah. And so did George Soros and all these investors and backers of Hillary Clinton. And that kind of goes to what you're saying. It is true. Like, you can hate Trump, but his point is right. Like, that people will point this out for the political party they hate.
Well, and that's kind of what I was, wanting to say is, like, during the 2024 election. Now, I found this article from Forbes magazine.
Which I want you to send me this article.
I will.
Because it is interesting.
I want to just say that, so it's not like some, hyper Republican site, because if you don't...
I found this from the Daily Stormer.
Exactly.
I don't know.
January
It said
6th
something.
fan club.
I don't know. It just was pointing out something about I think it was something about the Jewish people being the pilots of the plane on September 11th. I don't know. But anyway, there's something in here about politics too and money.
Yeah, right.
Let's see, Obama the Antichrist. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, they're turning the frogs gay. Let's see here. No, I mean, I just want to point that out because people always, if it's not the right source, there's always the people who are like, well, that's just like some liberal site or that's just some Republican site.
Right.
As if even if they're spitting facts.
Yeah, which
if the facts disagree with you, it doesn't matter to people. It's always like, that's some, whatever.
It came from somewhere I don't like.
So the reason why I want to point out Forbes is because Forbes is usually seen as more of a left-leaning site. Mm-hmm. That's why I want to point this out.
So you're saying that they don't have any incentive to disagree with people in this article.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, and this is from October 30th of 2024, so just a few days before the 2024 election. And they wrote on here that their breakdown is of the billionaires that were openly supporting of Harris and Trump. They found 83 of them were supporting Harris and 52 were backing Trump. Now, this doesn't mean to say that this is all the billionaires in existence, Maybe if you were to take all of them and show how they supported, maybe Trump would have more or something. I have no idea. Mm-hmm. But I'm just saying, anytime I hear people complain about billionaires or whatever, it's always Republican billionaires. Always. Mm. It never is like liberal billionaires. Even though this article is saying from October 30th that there are technically more billionaires supporting Harris than there are Trump. So it's like there are plenty of billionaires that support more liberal policies. People like Bill Gates. People like George Soros. Yes, I know liberals immediately jump at the George Soros thing and it's like, oh, this is just a Republican boogeyman.
Yeah.
But it's but he still donates heavily to more left-leaning organizations and all this stuff.
I mean, I'd argue Bruce Wayne does too.
Well, exactly.
I mean, Bruce Wayne, and not to say that Republicans never do this, but I think Republicans, unfortunately, and one way they lose people a lot of times in the narrative is they have this idea that anybody who's doing poorly isn't working hard enough.
Right.
And anybody...
But that's only some of them.
But a lot of them.
A lot of them,
It's a very popular narrative, and I think they lose people on that, whereas, I feel like Bruce Wayne, if you look at that, is almost the opposite of that. He's always oh, this person had a really bad life.
Yeah.
This person really was screwed from the beginning, and part of it is he was screwed from the beginning. He had money. Mm-hmm. He didn't have parents. He didn't have a father figure other than Alfred.
Right.
He lost everything. And he lost, a good piece of his soul. That money never filled that. And it's so weird to me because, their argument is almost... It literally does come down to, at one point, just to point this out really quick, that they say essentially... They'll keep going. We'll circle back to the politics part, too, because I do think it's interesting. But they do say that having billions of dollars is untrammeled political power, and that if you come into $1 billion, you only keep it because it gives you influence over governments and corporations, not because it makes the daily business of living more pleasant than 1/10 of that wealth would. Nobody needs $1 billion to make sure their grandkids can go to Yale and buying a private jet, and they go on and on. They bring up J.K. Rowling, which I would argue is the liberal boogeyman at this point. Mm-hmm. And then go on to talk about how essentially if you keep it, you seek power, not simple luxury, to which I also ask, first off, I'm going to point out some examples in here of where Batman gives that power away more. But secondly, why would it be better if he was just a humanist who sought luxury? Let's say he put his billions of dollars into sleeping with as many women as humanly possible, having a bunch of kids with them, Leonardo DiCaprioing these women and getting rid of them when they turn 25, allegedly.
Yeah.
Let's say he was the biggest humanist, the biggest misogynist, the biggest piece of shit. he was constantly buying like stuff to like he would buy piles of money and burn them in front of homeless encampments and say fuck you.
Right.
Like let's say he was this biggest like misogynistic a-hole possible who was a humanist. He had a gooner chair that would like, you know, like be like going to town on him and everything for millions of dollars, and he was just loving it. And what does this add? Like why would this be better? You know what I mean? Like I'm just thinking of like the most humanist multi-billionaire ever. Like he's like one of the old Roman emperors, like Tiberius on his island.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Epstein Senior basically there. Like why would this be better that he's some kind of like humanist that seeks luxury and like wants to own 1 trillion cars and wants to do all these human desires that are selfish? Like why in this article, the fact that to this person is argued as better is weird to me. Like being a hardcore humanist who seeks pleasure is better and more acceptable to the article author than it is to understand that there can be a billionaire who kept this wealth in order to use it to try to stabilize and fix and improve the systems that are already there. How do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like to me, from these 2 paragraphs, now I don't want anyone to go attack this author or anything. These 2 paragraphs to me come off as almost an evil point of view. Like that's what you'd do with your money? You'd keep it, you'd have like the gooner chair, you'd have like all these women, you'd have all these cars, all these things, and that to you is more acceptable.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird to you? Because to me that's weird that that's somehow more believable and better to them than the idea of like the fact that Bruce Wayne has the Thomas and Martha clinics up that provide free healthcare to people who can't afford it. It comes out of Bruce Wayne's own pocket, and he set one up literally like next to Crime Alley with Dr. Leslie Tompkins in almost every continuity. Why would he do this if he was someone seeking unlimited power?
It's because this person probably doesn't know that.
But why are they okay with like the idea of him seeking luxury then?
Yeah.
Like what? I don't understand how that's acceptable.
Right. I guess I don't get it. To me, this article is just like a hate piece on Trump. They're just like shoehorning Batman into this.
Yeah.
And they don't really know anything about Batman.
Right.
It's just like, oh, Batman has money and he's white. Trump has money and he's white. Yeah, they're the same. And it's like, well, no. Like, well, and I guess my thing is just like, going back to kind of the politics thing, it's like...
Yeah, I didn't mean to drag us.
No, that's okay.
I want to go back and forth between Batman and that.
It's kind of like... My whole thing with the Republican versus Democrat thing is not saying like one side is good or one side's not. My thing is just, I never hear people complain about Democrat billionaires. Mm-hmm. I never hear like Bill Gates, unless you're like I know right-wingers complain about Bill Gates and George Soros. Mm-hmm. But I'm saying journalists and stuff like this, people who actually like write these types of things.
And lean left always in their writing.
Right. I never hear them ever complain about Democrat billionaires. No. They will grandstand themselves for hours upon hours talking about, oh, I hate all billionaires. And like, you know, look at like Nelson Rockefeller, you know, like a deep cut from like 50 years ago. Mm-hmm. Look at Donald Trump. Like these people are just, you know, they have so much money and like, why are they involved in politics? And why don't they like end homelessness? And like Elon Musk could like end homelessness today. And I'm like, yeah, sure, that's true. You know, fair enough. But, like, why don't you care about the billionaires who support your side? Right. And, like, to me, it comes across as hypocritical. Like, that's what it comes across to me. Like, if you hated all billionaires, you would complain equally about every billionaire.
Right.
But it's not. You complain about one side's billionaire, and that's all you do.
So you really think that this person thinks that they know so little about Batman that they think Batman would just be a hardcore MAGA?
I think they think that, first of all. I think, second of all, they think every billionaire in existence supports Trump, which is not true on any level, which I just point out that Forbes magazine. And thirdly, I think their opinions on billionaires just purely come down to jealousy. Like, I see this with people all the time. You know, they'll complain about billionaires and all day, like, we need to, like, tax the rich. We need to, like, kill all the rich. We need to do this. We need to do that. And I'm like, is it actually that you hate the rich people, or is it just you want to be rich? Mm-hmm. And you're upset that your life did not go that route? You're upset that you somehow didn't luck out on, you know, starting a Facebook or something. Mm-hmm. And now here's Mark Zuckerberg over there being, like, incredibly rich, and you're angry that you're not that way. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what it comes across to me as. It comes across to me as like a hate piece on like, yeah, we need to like take all these people's money. It's like, but if you were the one that had all the money, you would do everything in your power to keep your money.
Yeah.
Because it's human nature.
It's weird though, because there is like a logical argument you can make a logical argument, and I almost think should make a logical argument about like taxes and how those are enforced and things like that. But I think the problem is that you're right, it's not unilateral, and if their people got out of it, they'd be okay with it. And we actually see this with like insider trading.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not going to point any specific fingers, but the fact that you have people who get into political office in Senate who are worth very little in terms of net worth, and then all of a sudden they end up with millions of dollars over time invested into things that they shouldn't have known would grow that way, and then it just happens to coincide with some of the companies who backed them, or like, you know, like telecommunications companies. It's like, oh, I just invested a ton in telecommunications. I'm also going to defend this bill that deregulates that sector. It's like, yeah, I wonder why you're going to do that. Like, maybe it's because, geez, you're in the squeakiest chair ever.
I know, apparently, sorry.
Maybe, like, I wonder why you're going to do that, you know? Maybe because you have a vested interest in that?
Right.
You know, like, maybe because that's something that is making you money, and you're doing good. You know, but like if you or I did insider trading, an example would be made of us.
Well, yeah.
We would go to jail.
Right. Like Martha Stewart.
Right. She was rich, but not rich enough.
Exactly.
And she wasn't in politics, like in terms of like in office.
Right.
So they're like, oh, that's a big enough one that we have to like go after that. But how many times, you know, behind the scenes, do they kind of hand wave away things or push away investigations on people who have political power?
Like every day.
But Bruce Wayne isn't getting these... He's not getting these
benefits, or right.
I mean, like, you even look at Telltale. You played Telltale Batman, right?
A long time ago, but yeah.
So Telltale Batman, one of the biggest things is like a almost controversy coming out about the Wayne family. And then all of a sudden Bruce Wayne is paying for the sins of his father and being investigated and all these different things and losing his wealth. And Oswald Cobblepot is taking over Wayne Enterprises.
Yeah.
All these different things, right? Why wasn't he given political clemency here? Right? Why wasn't he given exoneration from this just for being old rich? You know what I mean? Like old wealth, I think is the phrase. Why was he not given that? Well, because he's not this. This isn't what he is. Like, and every time you compare Trump to him, even if we went and we just said Trump is the most evil, vile guy ever, and we all conceded that point, even if you did that, all the ways you compare Trump to him are not things that apply to Batman. They're not things he does. They're not ways he lives. They're not things he says. I mean, like, even the fact that, like, I'll see this argument, he's a fascist. What he wants to do is he wants to almost destabilize the government while having a Jesus complex where he has, like, this savior idea where he wants to put money into it to keep it around, but really he just has a craving to go out and beat people up. It's like, even the most psychotic versions of Batman, like we look at The Dark Knight Returns, where he's kind of unstable, he's still giving money away. And, by the way, he still gave up that power for, like, years where he retires randomly because the government outlaws vigilantism. And when he eventually comes back, he's literally fighting against a parody of Ronald Reagan.
Right.
What the fuck are we talking about? This makes me so mad because it is such a example of media illiteracy. Like, I could go to 20 versions of Batman and point out how dumb this is. Like, what does this have to do with Batman? Like, I'm totally down to have the political discussion, because you're right on the political end. Like, they won't call out Taylor Swift. I don't know if she's a multi-billionaire, but I know she has a lot of money. Yeah. We never hear her called out by these, like, more left-leaning, you know, websites or people. You know, like, for example, here's one, maybe it doesn't apply, but I can pull stuff out of my ass, too. What if I wrote a whole article about how unfair it is that she has a political, like, I was going to say swift, but like almost like a political push where like she as a celebrity can say, I have millions of fans, I'm going to push them to vote this way. Isn't that unfair power? I don't have that power. Right. Why don't I have that power? Yeah. I should have that power. The fuck are we doing here, man? These are fake characters. They're fun. They're interesting. There is lessons to learn. what are you taking from it? Like, what you're taking is you're mad that Bruce Wayne doesn't have the Gooner chair giving him the Gok 5000 at all hours, and instead he's fighting crime and giving to homeless shelters. That's your argument, and how he's like the evil orange man? What are we doing here, man? Like, what is this? This is like the biggest nothing burger word salad that I have ever read, that throws out so many buzzwords and so many buzzword, like, boogeymen rich people, just in order to be like, Trump bad, Batman in title.
Even dating back to the first edition of Batman, hasn't this always been the story and the point of Batman? Hasn't the story always...
That he's one of the good ones?
Well, exactly, yes, kind of. I mean, it's funny, but it's like, this has always been the point of Batman, is that he's one of the billionaires that actually cares about his community.
Right.
Like, other billionaires, there's plenty of examples of other billionaires that Bruce Wayne interacts with in the comics and different movies and things like that are actually, like, kind of pieces of garbage. You know, like, they're your stereotypical billionaires that just, like, go to parties and
they suck.
And they suck. And the story's always been Bruce Wayne is, like, the good one. You know, he's always the one that gives back to his community. He tries to actually help people and save people and fight crime and all this stuff. And, you know, and just the example that, like, somehow because he breaks arms sometimes and things like that, it, like, makes him bad. It's like, to me, that's such a stupid argument.
Well, it's
like, this has never been who Bruce Wayne is.
Do you remember the Justice Lords episodes of the Justice League? Where they essentially go to the parallel Earth and there's the version of them that are totalitarians?
Yes.
Why is not every version of Batman like that? I mean, you can find occasional versions because it's a multiverse. It's like infinite possibilities. And the idea of the multiverse is like, there's a universe out there where I just stubbed my toe right now and went ow in the recording. And then there's this universe where I talked about it instead.
Right.
Like, some universes have almost no difference. Almost like a split timeline for every choice. An infinite number of realities. So why is it that far more often than not, Batman is not like that? Like, why is it that you can go to the world of the Justice Lords and they are these totalitarians and they have seized power, but even there, that Batman struggles mentally with what they did and is convinced otherwise by the end by the prime Batman? Like, why is it that more often than not, Batman is either against this or very hesitant of this kind of seizure of power? Even Injustice, which butchers a lot of character representations in DC, still has a Batman who's against seizing absolute power.
Yeah.
Now, in that one, I believe he does eventually end up in, like, sort of a political office by the end because of everything that happened with Superman. But it goes, like, literally it goes from a king, Superman, who murders people just because they looked wrongly at him and committed some crime, back to a democratic election.
Right.
Under Bruce Wayne. Why would he reestablish these systems? Why would he eliminate... Like, if he could have just joined the Justice League right there, because the Justice League went totalitarian there, he could have just joined them, not, you know, and joined the regime, and been a totalitarian that had unlimited power, sex, women, money, whatever he wanted, and the ability to influence the lives of millions. Actually, billions of people.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't he do that? I mean...
Because he's not like this.
Oh, whoa! Like, it's almost like you read a comic or watched a movie one time.
I know,
it's
pretty surprising.
Like, I feel like somebody scrolling, like an 80-year-old boomer scrolling through TV channels who watched 20 minutes of the Michael Keaton Batman movie one time on TV in the 90s would know this is the dumbest thing ever.
Right. Well, and like, I think a good comparison to Batman is maybe a mixture between like Iron Man and Captain America. Mm-hmm. You know, he's like Iron Man in the sense that he's like this high-end business owner, incredibly rich, you know, all this stuff. And builds a bunch of his own technology, whatever.
Not a wall, though.
Not a wall, yeah.
Another difference with Trump.
That's true. But
listen, Alfred, I think we've got to build a wall around Arkham City. We need a wall now.
Are you talking in Bruce Wayne's voice?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because they're the same person.
Well, I mean, it's funny because he even argued to tear down the wall, remember? He went and advocated against Arkham City.
Right,
the Arkham game.
Exactly. And I think another mixture of him is like Captain America in the sense where Bruce Wayne's always had the good heart to him.
He's noble.
He's not perfect, but he's always noble. He tries to do the right thing. he himself got screwed over when he was a kid, you know, by his parents getting, like, murdered in front of him.
Yeah.
And yes, because he has money doesn't make it better. You know, he's always gotten screwed over in life, whatever, and he wants to change that as an adult. Mm-hmm. He wants to be a good person. You know, he wants to help out his community. He's actually, like, has honor to him and whatever, like, those character traits. That is who he's most like. Mm-hmm. Not like Donald Trump. Like, even like the most hardcore Trump lovers of all time, if you were to ask them, kind of like you pointed out earlier to me, if you were to ask them, who is a better person, like, morally speaking, Bruce Wayne or Trump? Even, like, the most hardcore Trump, like, unless you're, like, Trump's kids.
Right,
you know,
or
like
Donald Trump himself.
Yeah, like, pretty much everyone.
Trump gets in the comments, I don't think so, Nate. I don't think so. I think quite bigly we outdo Bruce Wayne in almost every way, and Stormy Daniels was wrong. My PP is bigger than his. It's much bigger. I might send you a pic later, just letting you know. Just letting you know, Nate.
I mean, if he dropped an OnlyFans, you know you'd subscribe to it. Yeah, that's right, we got him. But, like, you know, everyone would be like, yeah, Bruce Wayne is, like, way better of a person than Trump.
Right.
You know, it's, like, not even comparison on any level whatsoever. The only comparison between the two that I can think of is they both have money.
Uh-huh.
They both are business owners.
They're both white.
And they both are white.
Which right there,
that is the comparison.
You literally just hit the trifecta of, I think, why this article was made.
I think it is.
It's self-hatred, white hatred, genuinely.
Yeah.
Hatred of the rich. And you can, I think we're very open to criticizing all these things. We're open to criticizing white colonial culture and the manifest destiny and those ideas that were pretty bad. I mean, but the problem is, for me, if you criticize those, you should criticize the other colonial attitudes throughout history. People forget them.
Right.
Like every single race of people had. You can criticize, like, the culture of the rich and the inability to give. Those are things that should be criticized. I mean, even Jesus Christ said it's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah.
You know, like, even Christianity stands against the idea of the rich who don't give back and they hoard and they live in humanism and stashed wealth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can criticize all of these elements, like all of these things, but I think the problem, you hit it on the head right here, is this is a Republican person. This person has misconstrued and thought that Batman must be Republican.
Mm-hmm.
They have seen that they're both white, and so their vision turned red and they entered rage mode because they saw a white guy.
Yeah.
You know, like, I even saw an article trying to claim, like, a few years ago that a white homeless man would have more inherent power than LeBron James.
Right, yeah. I mean, these are stupid.
These are the dumbest arguments I've ever heard. It's like, if he has more power, how come LeBron James could walk into a place and ask for something, like even food, and get it, but the white homeless guy can't?
Right.
It's like, these are very dumb, surface-level arguments from people that have a lot of hatred, whether it's internal hatred towards elements of themselves that they have to wrestle with, like, my ancestors did something, I don't like being associated with that, I'm going to overcompensate by attacking that trait. Or it's, they're not that thing, and they view it from the outside, and they view it as all people X are like Y.
Mm-hmm.
You know what we call that one? Racism.
Yeah.
Or stereotyping at the nicest.
Right.
Like, all people of X are like Y.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane to me, you know? Like, and if you use this attitude in any other area, it would be terrible.
Right.
You know? What if I made an article talking about how Black Panther is, like, I'm not saying this, one of the good ones or something on, like, a right-leaning website.
Yeah.
And I started making comments, like, pointing out all these criminals that, like, happen to share, like, some trait with Black Panther. Like, oh, well, they looked like, you know, they had a complexion that was similar here. Like, look at these famous people. It's like, you can do this with anything. You can cherry-pick examples, just like I could cherry-pick examples like white serial killers, and say, like, well, they're white, they're like Batman. You know, like, we got Ed Gein, and we got Ted Bundy, and we got all these guys. I mean, their whiteness.
Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz.
The Zodiac Killer.
Allegedly. It's, by the way, scary how similar that
it is.
That looks to him. It is. No, you're right. I mean, like, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that you can cherry pick any examples to mean anything like this. And I'm not even claiming the racist narrative people say about Black people, of like, oh, they're this or that. Right. I'm just saying, like, if you took some famous Black fictional character and you compared him to this, like the Prowler. Like, this is so stupid, and I'm just going to throw out a hypothetical example real quick. No wonder the Prowler is a criminal. Look at all these things. You'd be like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
That's wrong. Why are you talking like that?
Yeah,
That's
get beaten
horrible.
in an alley.
Yeah, because it's horrible. Because no one should be thinking that way. Nobody should be looking at the surface level character traits of someone and then generalizing them based off of some other anecdotal evidence. That's what the Nazis did.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, that's what the Nazis did. They took things. They were like, well, what about that bad guy over there who's Jewish? They're all like him.
Right.
It's like, no, that just happens to be a guy who's Jewish who's bad. It has no bearing on anything, right? And that's my problem with judging something by a simple character trait. Now, I want to ask very quickly, was that example clear and not racist?
I mean, I think so.
Because my point is just you cherry pick any example and you try to point to it as all of this is bad. Yeah. And it almost always is bad logic, bad reasoning, and leads to bad action. Mm-hmm. It almost never leads to good action. You even saw this with the French Revolution. How many people were rounded up that were just like not even in the monarchy, but like maybe adjacent to it, like a rich person who happened to be living in a manor. It's like,
a lot of people.
Behead him! He had money and I didn't.
Dude, even people that were, like, working in, like, the palace were beheaded. Yeah. Like, we're talking, like, a janitor.
Poor.
Yeah.
They just lived there.
Yeah, like some dude who,
They were a slave, basically.
Exactly. But they were like, they live in the palace, let's get them!
Yeah. Royal slaves.
Yeah. So it's like, it's such a dumb and pointless... And honestly, it kind of just makes you look like a pathetic loser.
Yeah, which most journalists
are
now.
It kind of just makes you look like you're someone who's sitting, alone in your mom's basement, like writing some stupid, article online being like, why does rich person have money and I don't? Like that's kind of what you look like.
Right.
And like all normal people, like normal-minded individuals look at you and go like,
you're insane.
You're kind of a loser here.
And you're insane.
Like you're insane. Like I don't know, like to me this is a hate piece on Trump. But somehow Batman's, like, Bruce Wayne's, like, catching random strays here. I don't know what his... I still have no idea what the comparison is between the two.
No, I don't either. I think it's white, rich men. That's
like,
all it is.
Other than that, it's like, what is the comparison? I literally think, like we said at the beginning, Batman is shoehorned into this article because it happened to be the 80th anniversary of Batman coming out, and they just wanted clicks. Mm-hmm. So it's like, let's see, everyone likes Batman right now. So Batman and I really hate Trump. I want to talk about him, but let's put Batman in there. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Like, it's lazy.
Well, and also you can see that the article is extended, especially on mobile, in order to get as many ads packed in there as possible.
Exactly, yes.
Which I understand somebody could probably argue that for my video. They could say, your video's long and it has mid-rolls, but it's like, we're actually trying to talk about this person's points and react to it transformatively.
Right.
I don't want to just, like, read their article to you and be like, what an idiot, what a moron, what a dummy. Hope they stub their toe later. You know what I mean? I was thinking of something that wasn't against terms of service to say there. Right. That involved, like, personal harm. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I hope bad things happen to you type thing. Like, I don't want to do that. I genuinely hope this person has, and this is a favorite term of the left, educated themselves in the years since writing this, because this is pathetic.
Right.
It's sad. It is, in my opinion, also Nazi reasoning.
Yeah.
It is reasoning that others people. It turns people into the other.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you turn people into the other, by the way, you have almost always lost the argument and lost the plot.
Right.
Because you've hit a point of generalization that in history has never led to anything good. Whether it's from the rich othering people, which leads to them not giving, and having that you just need to work harder attitude, and you were born into poverty, you're a bug attitude, or whether it is the attitude on the side of the more poor of you must be evil because you have and I don't. Othering always leads to bad mentalities, and the othering of wealth is one thing that led to the Holocaust.
Mm-hmm.
Because the idea was that the Jewish people had the wealth. Now, this wasn't even always true, by the way. There were so many Jewish people that were poor that were rounded up and put in death camps because they were lumped in with people who were considered to be the haves versus the have-nots. Adolf Hitler gets in power. One of the first things he says while screaming in German and sounding like a maniac is essentially, look at all these Jewish people. They have stuff. You guys can't even afford food because of what the world did to us with the Treaty of Versailles after World War I. We deserve to get that stuff. Let's kick them all out. And at first it was, let's kick them all out. And I was like, yeah, get rid of them. And there'll be more stuff to go around. And really it was, we're rounding them up and putting them in death camps. And even the people who figured that out, most of them didn't speak out.
Yeah.
Because they had been othered to that point. You look at the propaganda posters of World War II, huge noses, scary features, making people look like gremlins and goblins and stuff. So you dehumanize and you make people look like they are animals. The same way that the slave trade was allowed. You dehumanize, that's not a person, it's just in the shape of a person. It's like you dehumanize and you other someone to the point where anything bad you do to them is okay. Because they're not, in the words of Kendrick, they're not like us. You know, like they're lesser.
Yeah.
They're evil.
Right.
They're an animal.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is what's so dangerous about this. That I do want to like kind of close on for me is that this mentality of othering people, I cannot think of a single positive it has ever led to in human history. Ever.
Right.
It always leads to evil.
Well, yeah, because othering people's like what the human nature is. You know, everyone's like scared of other people. It's like, oh, that person doesn't act like me. That person doesn't do this like me.
They don't look like me.
They have more money than me.
They have a different god.
Yeah. So it's like people just other people all the time. And it usually always leads to, like, it usually starts out, you know, maybe somewhat innocently.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go maybe. You know, of like, oh, this person is really rich and I'm not, and that's not fair. It's like, okay, I get you're jealous, but whatever.
Well, and I mean, there is a logical point to make there, too, of like the distribution of resources.
But then it always turns into like, let's get them, they have money.
Yeah. Well, that's why I brought up the French Revolution as a primary example, because there were so many people that were just in the wrong place.
Yes.
And because the othering had happened, just like the Jews, because the othering had happened, whatever happened to them was okay. Because they weren't normal people to them. Mm-hmm. So it was fine.
Yeah.
And that's why I think stuff like this is so dangerous, to talk this way, to have these rhetorics. I even see the same thing, unfortunately, on both sides about like conflicts in the Middle East, Palestine and Israel. And I saw that even in my own video where I talked about that. There's so much othering of like, oh, they're not people. They're monsters. And it's like, this is very dangerous. And I see more and more politically leaning journalists pushing that ideology. Mm-hmm. Like whether, no matter what side it's on of othering, you know?
Yeah.
It kind of scares me, to be honest. I think it's actually genuinely scary that people are thinking this way and that it's encouraged.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, I see it on both sides. Mm-hmm. It's just the side justifies their own side.
Yes.
To make it be like, oh, no, it's okay that I'm saying it. But it's like, no, but you both are othering people. Mm-hmm. It's just you've believed in your head that somehow it's okay for me to do it.
Yeah, my way is right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. Do you have any final thoughts on this, Nate? Because for me, it's like, I think we've kind of showed all these ways that Batman is not like this, all these things he does to give back in his community. Like the fact that he does not seek these hedonistic pleasures, which for some reason to the article author is better than what he does. I mean, I know it's a little bit of a longer video, but I feel like it did need to be dissected almost. Because otherwise you almost leave it open to debate. And this is not open to debate. Like, I'm sorry, but this is just such a dumb argument that there's no way you could sit down and in a public forum actually justify this without a million examples making you look like an idiot.
Right. Yeah, I mean, this is just another example of like a lazy, I hate Trump, I hate billionaires type of person.
I'm mad.
You know, that's all it comes across to me as. There's nothing really, you know, there's not really any good hard evidence in here or anything. It's just like this person going through and cherry picking random examples to be like, see, Bruce Wayne is a hardcore MAGA supporter. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, no, you clearly don't know Batman. Mm-hmm. You know, that's what the article comes across to me as.
And the fact that most Batman authors of the last 20 years have been left-leaning, by the way.
Yeah, right.
Is also something that comes to mind for me.
Right.
It makes me sad, man. I think that in history it's never led to good places. I think you have to be very careful with these lines of thought. There are ways to criticize the rich, criticize the political, without going there, without othering, without dehumanizing. And I think it's sad. And I think it's, like you said, very clearly for clicks. It was to get Batman in the title, get people to click on it, get people to pay attention to it, and then kind of peace out after that, having said the dumbest thing ever, and then kind of fade away and make your money for your website.
Yeah.
I don't know. Makes me sad. So, anyways, we appreciate you being here. If you made it to the end, you are one of the real ones, my guy. We appreciate you. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, you want to leave a like, subscribe. If you like conversations like this, actually, they're not often on this channel. I mean, I will talk about these articles. A lot of times things like this, though, actually come up between Nate and I on our other channel, Degenerate Plays, where we play through games podcast style, kind of talk about whatever, whether it be games, movies, comics, discussions like this, just whatever. So Degenerate Plays is down in the description along with our other channels like JayRPG, where I cover role-playing games, Magical Jill, where we do more anime-focused stuff, and we do have our own store, cosmobunny.shop. You can use code DJAY123 for 10% off your first purchase over there. New products over there, coasters, keychains, trays, and more made from recycled paper from books that have been damaged. We make coasters, all these different things. Basically, if this paper has been damaged, these books like comics and manga have been damaged. A lot of people throw them into the trash. They end up in landfills. They rot. They go into the ocean. A fish eats them, probably gets diarrhea, falls to the surface. You know, I mean, I've watched this happen several times. What we do instead is we actually repurpose that paper transformatively into a new medium and then recycle the rest and make sure that your next of kin is going to be able to get that paper back however they do recycling. I'm too dumb to figure it out. Hope you have a fantastic day, and as always, everyone, stay shway.